Still too close to call, but the path is narrowing for Joe Biden. He has picked up 2 more states today. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Susie Sa.
And I'm Juan Fernandez. This is KCAL 9 News at 4, and we're streaming on CBSN Los Angeles. Well, Joe Biden is now the projected winner in both Wisconsin and Michigan.
The Trump campaign today filed lawsuits in 2 states about that count. KCAL 9 political reporter Tom Waite joins us live from the newsroom to sort out what's going on with the election today. Tom?
Hi there, Susie and Juan. Yes, so much going on. Right now, the race comes down to just a few states, and Joe Biden holds a slim lead in both Arizona and Nevada. If he holds those, he could very well be on the path to 270. And right now, CBS News projects he has 253 electoral votes, and President Trump has 213. But the president still has a fighting chance, as I said, so this definitely is not over yet. Protesters chanted "Stop the count" outside the vote tally center in Detroit Wednesday as CBS News projects former Vice President Joe Biden winning Michigan. CBS News also projects a win for Biden in Wisconsin.
Now, after a long night of counting, it's clear that we're winning enough states to reach 270 electoral votes needed to win the presidency.
In Pennsylvania, more than 1 million mail-in ballots still have yet to be counted. Officials say it could take days before the winner is known.
We'll be done as soon as we're done. We want to make sure that every vote that is legitimately cast and is good.
President Trump has not appeared in public today, but sent out a flurry of tweets. At least one was flagged by Twitter for spreading disinformation. In one of the tweets, the president said, "We have claimed for electoral vote purposes the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, which won't allow legal observers, the state of Georgia and the state of North Carolina, each one of which has a big Trump lead." The president also tweeted this afternoon they are working hard to make up 500,000 vote advantage in Pennsylvania, disappear likewise Michigan and others. His campaign challenged the vote in Pennsylvania and asked the U.S. Supreme Court to get involved.
This is absolute fraud. We've seen it in Philadelphia before. They're trying to make a mockery of the election of this country.
As of now, there is no evidence of fraud in this election at this point, or at least none has been shown to the media. But the Trump campaign also filed a lawsuit in Michigan and North Carolina. The State Board of Elections says, and with few exceptions, results from that state won't be updated until next week. Now, we also have some more breaking news here in terms of the lawsuit situation. We understand the Trump campaign has filed another lawsuit to stop the count in Georgia. The vote is very close there, within a couple of points, and they are still counting a lot of the vote, and a lot of the vote there that's missing, that hasn't been counted yet, comes from Atlanta and the suburbs around that area. So at this point, our understanding is the Trump campaign is trying to stop the count there. And I just want to reiterate, there has been no evidence at this point that there has been any fraudulent activity, widespread fraudulent activity in any of the vote that has been presented yet. Live in the newsroom, I'm Tom Waite. Susie, back to you.
All right, Tom, thank you very much for that update. Well, the White House isn't the only branch of government still in limbo.
That's right. The balance of power in Congress is still being sorted out as well. KCAL 9's Amy Johnson here now with a look at how both chambers are shaping up. Amy?
Juan and Susie, Democrats hope the blue wave that flipped the House of Representatives 2 years ago would sweep through the Senate. It hasn't. Now, here's where we stand right now, according to CBS News. Democrats hold 46 seats, while Republicans hold 48, with several races yet to be called. 51 is needed for a majority. In the House, Democrats have 210 seats, while the GOP has 190. 218 is needed for a majority. Now, before the election, Democrats had 233 seats. With some surprising defeats, that number is expected to shrink. The ballots continue to be counted across several key states, and so far, neither party is coming away with a majority in the U.S. Senate.
We're awaiting the judgment of the American people.
The Senate's top Republican, Mitch McConnell, held on to his Senate seat, as did South Carolina's Lindsey Graham.
We did it!
While this election may be over, we have to work together.
In Maine, Democratic challenger Sarah Gideon conceded to moderate Republican Susan Collins.
To the people of Maine, thank you.
Former Auburn University football coach Republican Tommy Tuberville is projected to flip Alabama's Senate seat after defeating incumbent Democrat Doug Jones. Former Colorado Governor John Hickenlooper, who's a Democrat, will unseat Republican Cory Gardner.
Let's get to work, Arizona.
Democrat Mark Kelly beat GOP incumbent Martha McSally in the Copper State, taking deceased Senator John McCain's seat. It didn't go so well for Democrats in other races, even though they outspent their Republican challengers by at least $120 million.
Money doesn't vote, people do. The polling was off.
On the House side, Republican leaders are in a celebratory mood after flipping several more seats than the Democrats have so far.
I'm very confident we continue to grow our majority.
There's more to come.
CBS News has yet to call which party the House of Representatives will dominate, but Democratic Speaker Nancy Pelosi has already claimed victory. Now, whoever wins the presidency will face a divided Congress, making it tough to pass legislation without more bipartisan compromises. I'll send it back to you.
All right, Amy, thank you. And it was a post-election rally on Wall Street. Even as the winner of the presidential race remains up in the air tonight, the Dow gained 367 points, the Nasdaq was up 430, and the S&P 500 closed up 74 points.
And now to another local race. It appears LA County will have a new district attorney. Jackie Lacey is fighting to hold onto her seat against challenger George Gascon. KCAL 9's Chris Holmstrom live in downtown LA where there's a rally going on. Chris.
Susie, this is definitely a victory celebration. Take a look behind me. You can see a couple hundred people out here. Now, they meet here every week. Usually they're chanting, Jackie Lacey must go. Well, now they're chanting, Jackie Lacey will go. A victory celebration by Black Lives Matter. This as George Gascon is pulling ahead in the race for LA County DA. The group has been trying to get Jackie Lacey out for the past 3 years. Melina Abdullah helped lead the charge.
And so we have a new district attorney that's coming in, who we've also already put on notice that he'll be held accountable to, but who has already proven himself to be much more accessible and willing to converse around the issues that are important to us.
Gascon is a former DA for San Francisco. When he entered the race a year ago, he trailed Lacey significantly in the polls. But support for him and his calls for criminal justice reform grew after the death of George Floyd this spring. Gascon quickly became a grassroots favorite. Max Zabo is a longtime aide to Gascon.
And, while the initial results are certainly promising, we're not prepared to declare victory at this moment. But, this community's demand for justice, equity, and change was really heard loud and clear on Election Day.
Jackie Lacey is a two-term incumbent. She was elected back in 2012. At the time, it was a historic win. She was the first African-American to hold the office. Activists criticized her for being too close to law enforcement. They say she doesn't hold officers accountable when it comes to the use of deadly force. Her campaign, however, is not bowing out yet. They released this statement saying, "With much of the vote still out, we will be awaiting further results. This process is going to take some time, and it's important that every vote is counted and the people of LA County have their voices heard." And back out here live, the group says this is a step in the right direction for justice reform, and that if George Gascon is the new DA for LA County, they tell me they will hold him accountable as well. Reporting live from downtown Los Angeles, I'm Chris Holmstrom, KCAL 9 News.
Chris, thank you very much. Well, voters weighed in on a number of propositions that will change many people's lives.
And some of the happiest people right now are app-based drivers. Prop 22, which led ride-sharing companies, continue to label its drivers as independent contractors, won nearly 58.5% of the vote, with just over 41.5% opposing.
And Prop 15, which would have raised taxes on commercial properties worth more than $3 million, is getting a no by more than half of voters, but it's still too close to call right now, with 72% of the tally in.
Prop 21, which would allow cities to implement stricter rent control, went down as well, with nearly 60% giving it a big thumbs down.
The LA County Registrar's Office is now working to confirm all the semi-official outcomes as more ballots are counted from drop boxes and other venues in a record-breaking turnout. Voters told us the process of making their voices heard went quickly and smoothly.
15 minutes.
The process is very easy. It was about 10 minutes.
Well, last night, the registrar revealed more than 826,000 people voted in person and 2.3 million by mail. Be sure to stay with KCAL 9 for the very latest this election 2020. And remember, to get all of the updated results on every race, you can go to our CBS LA app or our website, kcal9.com.
Now to new rules for the city of Los Angeles. The city council voted to give business owners the right to refuse service to anyone who doesn't wear a face covering. KCAL 9's Jeff Nguyen is live in Valley Village with details for us. Jeff?
Juan and Susie, if you walk up to Hugo's Tacos, you will be greeted by that sign right there. And beginning today, if you don't follow the rules, well, the staff here will have the right to ask you to leave. Since the start of the pandemic, we've seen viral videos of people refusing to wear face coverings at businesses.
How's it going today, Joel?
At Hugo's Tacos in Valley Village, Bill Cohn says his employees have had to suffer abuse from customers who don't want to follow federal and local health guidelines.
People, when they're hangry, they threaten all kinds of things. They swing their arms around, they'll throw things on the ground.
Today, the LA City Council voted to give authority to business owners to refuse service to patrons who won't wear masks during the pandemic.
I mean, I welcome this news.
We found mixed reviews of City Hall's decision.
These are private businesses. It's also within their rights and freedom to turn away people who don't wear masks.
Being that it's lingering on, I don't see it as being fair because, you know, it's just a control issue.
Yeah, I'm tired of it, but I mean, as long as there's a pandemic, I mean, I don't think we really have a choice.
Cohn says the abuse has been so bad, some of his workers are afraid to walk to their cars at night. He closed both of his locations for several weeks because customers politicized the issue to the point he had to bring in security for a while.
During the summer, we were having confrontations an hour. Now we're probably having about 3 or 4 confrontations a day.
And business owners tell us they are still waiting to find out how enforcement will be handled following today's decision at City Hall. We're live in Valley Village. Jeff Nguyen, KCAL 9 News.
All right, Jeff, thanks. Coming up next, our coronavirus coverage will continue.
We're going to take a closer look at our local case numbers and what state health officials have to say.
City officials in the Antelope Valley are asking the LA County Department of Health to let their restaurant customers dine indoors. They say they don't want to be left out in the cold. We'll explain coming up.
And the family of Boston mobster James Whitey Bulger files a lawsuit against the U.S. prison system. We'll have details on that ahead. Amber?
And the warm weather has returned here in Southern California. Temperatures a lot warmer than yesterday. How long will it last before rain and snow arrive? Details coming up.
Now to the latest on the fight against coronavirus. More troubling signs today for LA County.
The county just reported its highest daily number since August, and that's not due to backlog in cases this time. There are 22 new deaths and more than 1,800 new cases. Also, hospitalizations are now over 800. They've been below that number since September. Orange County, meantime, is reporting 7 new deaths and more than 235 new cases. Hospitalizations are also up to 182.
Riverside County is reporting 5 new deaths and 420 new cases. San Bernardino County reporting 9 new deaths and nearly 660 new cases. Hospitalizations there increased overnight to 233. And Ventura County now reporting no new deaths and more than 110 new cases.
California continues to see significant COVID spread, but not like what other states have seen. The state's Health and Human Services Secretary says that's partly because of the slow reopenings. He admitted people are feeling fatigued, but said we must stay the course, especially with the holidays coming and temperatures changing.
It's a little colder than it was some places, significantly more colder than it had been in the weeks and months past. And hopefully we can bundle up and still keep a lot of our activities outdoors. We know that's increasingly difficult, but still something we should try and aspire to.
Dr. Galley also said most counties report family gatherings as a large source of significant spread, so the state is coming up with its guidelines for Thanksgiving gatherings so people can continue to do the things they like, but with a reduced risk.
A plea to reopen in the Antelope Valley. The cities of Palmdale and Lancaster want their restaurants to resume some indoor dining, and they've appealed now to LA County health officials. The cities say outdoor dining is becoming less of an option as the colder weather moves in.
They want to move diners inside at a reduced capacity. KCAL 9's Rachel Kim live now in Palmdale with more for us. Rach?
Yeah, Juan and Susie, anyone who's been in the Antelope Valley knows exactly how windy and cold it can get here, especially during the winter months. Certainly not ideal or comfortable conditions to be dining outdoors. Well, now city leaders say they are taking action so that businesses like this restaurant aren't devastated in the coming months. Eating outdoors at Don Chato's Mexican restaurant isn't a problem when it's a sunny day in Palmdale. But when winter rolls around, city officials say the margaritas won't be the only things frozen if people have to continue to dine al fresco because of COVID restrictions. That's why city leaders from Palmdale and Lancaster have sent a joint letter to LA County's public health director requesting that the county allow their restaurants to open indoor dining at 25% capacity with modifications to prepare for the upcoming winter. They believe if restaurants don't offer some indoor seating, they won't survive and will be left out in the cold.
I don't feel they're making some database decisions, and I want them to, justify and take into account the difference in the weather here from downtown LA. Our wind is higher, the temperatures are lower.
Palmdale city manager says 30% of restaurants have closed because of the pandemic. The owner of Don Chato's says even with outdoor dining, sales are down 40%.
If they don't let us come inside, dine in, it's going to be worse because the cold weather is coming.
Sanchez and his customers know even the heat lamps won't keep anyone warm outdoors. They support the city's request.
As a resident, and I've been here, as I said, for 32 years, I know how cold it gets. I can't sit out here when it's 12 degrees.
I think it's a great idea. I mean, businesses are already suffering, people want to go out and eat. And if they keep it safe, 6 feet, mask and everything, I think it's important to support our local, restaurants and businesses.
Palmdale and Lancaster city officials say their COVID rate is below the overall county average, and they believe they can stay safe indoors.
But we want to take them indoors in a climate that we don't want to get more people sick.
I don't want to close my doors. Yeah, I want to go back inside as soon as possible.
Now, we reached out to the LA County Department of Public Health for comment on the city's request, but we haven't heard back from them. Reporting live in Palmdale, Rachel Kim, KCAL 9 News.
All right, Rachel, thank you. And with the temperatures cooling down, it's a lot harder to get people outside to dine because it's going to get chilly soon, right?
Sure, al fresco is nice, but when it's cold, you're just like, I can't eat outside, right, Amber?
Lots of layers.
Yeah, we're wimps here in Southern California. That's why we are.
No, but I understand it gets very cold, especially in the Antelope Valley, because it is a desert, what we call the high deserts. And so during the winter, we're looking at those temperatures really dropping, especially as we head into this upcoming weekend. So get ready. We're looking at a big time cool down over the course of the next few days. But for now, we're enjoying the summer-like conditions because high pressure is just building in right now. Here's a live look. You can see pretty clear skies because of high pressure. We're probably going to see a little bit more of the patchy low clouds and fog for some of our beach communities tonight, but everywhere else looking pretty clear. We topped out above average for downtown LA today at 81 degrees. Did not break a record. The record a little too high at 96. Normally this time of year we should be in the mid 70s. And here's a look at what it feels like right now. But as we head into tomorrow, we could potentially see some cities tie old records or potentially even break some records. So this is something that we're watching right now. You can see we did see a lot more of the 90-degree temperatures pop up, especially inland today. We still have 91 for Van Nuys, 92 for Ontario, 80s for Fullerton, low 60s for Oxnard, and upper 60s for LAX. Here's a look at that temperature change. So today we're up by at least 12 degrees for Van Nuys, for Burbank, 11 for San Bernardino, 3 degrees warmer today than this time 24 hours ago. And then again, with high pressure, we're going to start to see those temperatures get even hotter for tomorrow. So Palmdale potentially could break a record. Lancaster, Lake Elsinore could tie old records. Woodland Hills could be shy of tying an old record. And then Burbank and Anaheim, we're going to be watching closely whether or not they tie old records or get very close to hitting those numbers. So warm and dry through tomorrow, and then, as I mentioned, a significant cool down begins on Friday. We're talking rain and mountain snow likely as we head into this upcoming weekend. As high pressure moves off to the east, a low pressure system drops in from the Pacific Northwest. This will bring us the rain and also the mountain snow. We have two different type of impulses moving in. So Saturday morning will be one of them, and then by Sunday late afternoon we could see another one, or early afternoon. So this is something that we are really watching closely because temperatures drop at least 20-30 degrees degrees. Tomorrow, 80s and 90s. Take a look at Saturday and Sunday. We have temperatures mainly in the upper 50s for the coast and then low 50s for the Inland Empire, and then down to about 33, 32 degrees for the mountains. Back to you guys.
All right, Amber, thanks so much. Coming up next here at 4, some historic wins in races around the country. We have more election coverage just ahead.
Plus, dozens of federal prison workers being sued by the family of mobster James Whitey Bulger. The reason ahead. Some history came down in Bethesda, Maryland today. These radio towers have been standing here since 1941. There it goes. Today, they were taken down to make some new space for new homes.
Like dominoes, right?
Yeah, no kidding. Look at that. Well, the family of the late Boston gangster James Whitey Bulger is now suing federal prison workers over his death.
The suit against the Federal Bureau of Prisons and 30 unnamed employees of the prison system accuses them of failing to protect Bulger, who was beaten to death at a West Virginia prison in 2018. Bulger died the same day he was transferred there from another prison. The 89-year-old was serving 2 life sentences for racketeering and murder. Bulger was arrested in his Santa Monica apartment back in 2011 after being on the run for 16 years. All right, our election coverage continues next with a look at some more local races.
Plus, the world is watching as the presidential race is decided. Reaction from overseas next.
And I'm Michelle Geely, live in Westminster, where the investigation continues into whether anything illegal happened at this campaign office behind me regarding voters' ballots. My story's up next.
Now at 4:30, an investigation into a business that claimed to be a voting center but wasn't. The business, owned by a Westminster City Council candidate, had a sign outside that said, "Vote here."
Well, now some people are concerned that voters may have been influenced on who to vote for and that ballots may have been thrown away. KCAL 9 Orange County reporter Michelle Geely live in Westminster with the investigation. Michelle.
That's right. Ads ran on Vietnamese radio inviting people to come here with their ballots. Now, it is not clear exactly how many people walked through these doors, but the investigation does continue after allegations of illegal voter activity.
Hey, buddy, what's in the box?
What's in the box?
What's in the box? What's in the box? Is it trash or is it ballots?
Election day is over, but an Orange County District Attorney investigation continues into what went on with voters and their ballots at this Westminster campaign office.
They were misinformed and told that this was an official voting center. This is not an official voting center.
Dr. Kimberly Ho is on the Westminster City Council and won her bid for re-election. Her lawyer says many voters for whom English is their second language came to the re-election office for help.
Say if you don't know who to vote for or the myriads of propositions, yes or no, then you can also seek advice here and ask for recommendations or suggestions. You don't have to take them, but you can ask, of course.
So a third party, I can help my father fill out his ballot, but you cannot, as a candidate or an operative of a campaign, be there while somebody is casting their ballot. That is considered undue influence and improper.
DA Todd Spitzer says at this point there is no evidence that ballots were discarded. However, allegations from an election protection attorney are that this voter's envelope with a missing ballot was found in a dumpster behind the re-election office in Westminster.
You know, some of the voters who came by wanted to have a new ballot because they made a boo-boo on the old ballot, and they don't have a printer or they don't know how to access that through the ROV. But that's allowed. It's completely legal and legitimate.
Even though the election's over, and maybe this didn't affect a close race or whatever, and maybe it did affect a close race, we have to know what the process was and did people follow the law.
Now, some of the clips that have been seen on social media show people at this office wearing Michelle Steele t-shirts. Now, Michelle Steele's campaign denies any involvement in this. She is currently ahead, that is, of the incumbent in this congressional district, the 48th district, by about 2,000 votes. That's the latest live in Westminster. I'm Michelle Geely. Back to you.
All right, Michelle, thank you. A legendary MMA fighter knocked out 14 opponents in one night, and his prize, a seat on the Huntington Beach City Council. Tito Ortiz took the title with only 14% of the vote. The 45-year-old is a Huntington Beach high school grad who debuted in UFC back in 1997. The self-proclaimed Huntington Beach bad boy is a supporter of President Trump, who fired him on the Celebrity Apprentice TV show back in 2008.
All right, here's a look at some of the local congressional races we're tracking. First, District 39. It includes Buena Park, Diamond Bar, and Yorba Linda. Taking a look here with 50. This is really neck and neck. Look at this. Young Kim and Gil Cisneros basically splitting the vote right now. This is with 88% of the vote now in.
And in the 42nd district, covering Corona, Lake Elsinore, and Murrieta, Ken Calvert, who is the longest-serving congressman in the IE, going for his 15th term, leading right now with 55% of the vote. William O'Mara, a professor at Chapman University, is trailing.
Now to the 45th district, Irvine, Anaheim Hills, and Mission Viejo. We have Katie Porter, part of the pink wave of women elected 2 years ago, and Greg Rathis, as you see there. Katie Porter winning that 45th district seat.
And now to the 48th Congressional District, which covers Seal Beach, Costa Mesa, and Laguna Niguel. Incumbent Harley Ruda is trailing right now, as Michelle was just talking about. Michelle Steele, who is the lead of the Orange County Board of Supervisors. It looks like it's pretty close, a tight race right now, 50% and 50% of the vote. Another highly contested race is in District 25, which represents Simi Valley, Palmdale, and Santa Clarita.
Democratic challenger Christy Smith could reclaim that seat for the Democrats against Republican incumbent Mike Garcia. Here are the latest results for you. You see right there. It's pretty close, though. 50% of the vote going to Christy Smith right now, 49% going to Mike Garcia. This is with 74% of the vote in.
Well, Garcia, a Navy fighter pilot, says it's time to defeat high taxes and job-killing laws like AB 5, known as the Gig Worker Bill, which Smith helped pass. In the meantime, Smith says she's fighting to improve public education and lowering taxes. Garcia won the special election back in May after Katie Hill resigned amid allegations of inappropriate relationships with staffers.
America's first ever transgender state senator has been elected in Delaware.
Sarah McBride is a projected winner in the Delaware race, overwhelmingly beating Republican candidate Steve Washington. She won roughly 73% of the vote in state's first district. McBride formerly served as a spokesperson for the Human Rights Campaign. Her win also makes her Delaware's first out LGBTQ person elected to the state's legislature.
And a former public school teacher in Kansas is that state's first transgender lawmaker. Democrat Stephanie Byers beat Republican Cindy Howerton Tuesday night. She will represent the 86th district in the Kansas legislature. Byers, who is a Native American, said she is grateful for those who voted for her. We'll expect more marijuana dispensaries to start opening up around the country in 2021.
Voters in New Jersey, Arizona, South Dakota, and Montana approved measures legalizing recreational marijuana. Oregon became the first state to decriminalize possession of small amounts of hard drugs like cocaine, heroin, and methamphetamine. Voters there also made it legal for people in therapy sessions to use the hallucinogenic drug in psychedelic mushrooms.
And our neighbors to the east gave a thumbs up to pot as well. Arizona joins California in making marijuana legal for recreational use by adults 21 and older. And a conservative Mississippi legal use of medical marijuana also won approval.
Well, it's not just here. The world is just as anxious as America for the results to come in for the U.S. presidential election. KCAL 9's Ian Lee has the latest from London.
Bonjour à tous. L'édition spéciale se poursuit. Commentators around the world filled the airways.
Good evening. It's the election the whole world is watching.
With predictions about the U.S. presidential election. In every language, you could sense the uncertainty.
Donald Trump or Joe Biden.
Many Europeans are surprised the results didn't come straight away.
A wee bit anticlimactic waking up and there's no result after all the build-up.
Just very sad, just like shocked that it's so close.
Underscoring how pivotal the world sees the U.S. election, the hashtags Trump, Biden, and U.S. elections 2020 are trending across Europe and around the globe. A presidential election doesn't just determine who will lead the U.S. For America's allies, it selects their partner for the next 4 years.
The UK-US relationship is in great shape, and we're confident that it will go from strength to strength.
While America's rivals like China, Iran, and Russia also have an interest in how the results play out and what relations will look like going forward. Ian Lee, London.
And stay with KCAL 9 News during for the very latest on election 2020. And remember, to get all of the updates, results on every race, just go to our CBS LA app or kcal9.com. Right now to breaking news. Human remains found in Mexico have been identified as the veteran LA firefighter who was missing since August.
Francisco Aguilar disappeared and his family has been actively searching for him. 2 people were arrested in Mexico last month in connection with his disappearance. We're going to have much more on this breaking news story just as soon as we get it.
Thai Airways is offering a flight to nowhere, the reason many people might want to get on board. We'll have that story ahead.
Plus some good news when one vaccine for COVID-19 could be available.
And with so many people looking forward to the end of 2020, one grocery store has a holiday tradition for just about everyone. Details next.
The Los Angeles Chargers, CBS 2, KCAL 9, and Los Angeles Unified School District present the Teacher of the Week. Congratulations, Cece Gonzalez Ikiwa. One of Cece's greatest joys is seeing her students connect with their lessons with their individual experiences.
Cece, your Teacher of the Week. Congratulations from the Chargers.
Join us in congratulating the Teacher of the Week.
This is an urgent appeal from Save the Children. The ongoing global health crisis puts more of America's children at risk than ever before. We're all doing the best we can to provide our children what they need to continue to grow and learn. But for children living in disadvantaged or isolated communities, many don't have access to resources or technology that are critical for their early growth and development. The long-term effects of this crisis could be severe and devastating. So many children are going without simply because of their circumstances. But when you sponsor a child through Save the Children, you can help change the life of a boy or girl in America today. Call Save the Children now or go online to reachchildrennow.org and choose a child right here in America who is waiting for a sponsor like you. For just $29 a month, less than $1 a day, you'll help ensure these kids receive the vital support they desperately need. Thousands of children rely on meals at school. And now, for struggling families who are losing jobs and income, meals served at schools are crucial. Without them, kids are going hungry. As a sponsor, you'll help us distribute nourishing meals to out-of-school children, providing much-needed nourishment and relief for desperate families. You'll also help deliver packages of learning materials and books. Call the number on your screen right now and sponsor a child here in America for just $29 a month. When you do, you'll get this free Save the Children t-shirt as a thank you for making a difference in the life of a child. And if you act now, a generous donor will match your first month's donation, so your gift will make an even bigger impact. Please call now or go online to reachchildrennow.org and choose a child to receive your greatest gift, a future.
Look, 15-year fixed, 1.99%, 2.172 APR.
So we should refi now with owning.
We just call 833-2-OWNING or go online to owning.
No matter how far you go, the pain is always around the corner.
The chief of the Oxford vaccine effort is optimistic today it could be ready before Christmas. And that's what Andrew Pollard told UK lawmakers at a hearing today. But he stressed the data must be reviewed by regulators first before the COVID-19 vaccine can be distributed. He said that he doesn't know the timeline of all that.
Thai Airways is planning a flight to nowhere.
Yeah, but passengers will fly over Thailand's holiest Buddhist religious sites. The flight is scheduled to take off on November 30th and last about 3 hours. Celebrity fortune teller and religion history expert Dr. Katha Chinaboonchorn will lead the in-flight chanting of Buddhist mantras. Thai Airways says the flight is intended to fall under the government's plan to boost domestic tourism in the country, which, like so many places and businesses, have been hit hard by the pandemic.
Discount grocer Aldi announced it is now selling a collection of more than 20 different advent calendars in its stores. Everything from alcohol to cheese and chocolate. There are also options for kids and pets. In years past, the advent calendars have sold out quickly. There's more news ahead just moments away on CBS 2 News at 5.
Is working from home here to stay now? There are promising signs the trend may continue even after the pandemic.
And in this week's STEAM series, meet the curator of one of the largest collections of bonsai trees in the world.
That's all ahead on CBS 2 News at 5 with Pat Harvey and Jeff Vaughn. And finally here at 4, a majestic site in Virginia where rescued bald eagle was released, there he goes, back into the wild. And it happened on Election Day.
Fitting, since the eagle has been the emblem of America since 1782. The eagle was hurt in a scuffle with another bird 2 months ago. He was rescued by someone who brought it to the rehab center for treatment. They're all just happy the eagle is flying free once again.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Ready to go. I want to thank you so much for watching KCAL 9 News at 4.
We hope to see you again tonight on KCAL 9 News at 8, 9, and 10. We'll see you later on.